this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Over the next few weeks I'm going to bring each of my bonsai in here in turn. I might group some of them together just to give them a look over, possible tidy up, de-weed them, get the moss out, all those sorts of things, just to sort of set them up ready to get going for spring. And I've chosen this Japanese larch to start with because it's actually at the point of bud break, so it is a good time to sort of give it a trim. Now this was just allowed to grow freely last year, so it looks a bit wild at the moment, but we'll do a bit of taming while we're at it. So I'll just move the tripod in a bit and down a bit. Something like that, so you can sort of see roughly what's going on. It's not an ideal shape, it's not a brilliant bonsai by any means, but then it hasn't really had much done to it since I got it. And last year, because it was repotted, it was allowed to grow and get itself a decent root system, so that this year we could do a bit of styling. And the first bit of styling I'm going to do is cut that branch off because it's one branch too many. So that's coming right off at the trunk. When I said I allowed it to grow, a lot of that was to just see what was going to happen. But that one can come off. Not quite sure where it went. Oh, there it is. And there. I don't think we'll be removing any others at the moment. But what we've got to look for is branches that cross over and don't add anything to a basic shape. And the idea is now to try and get this to form some pads. There's enough structure there, I believe, although I've just seen another large branch that I'm going to remove because it starts on, if you look at this branch here, this rather thick bit here starts on this side and goes that way. And it crosses over, so we'll remove that one completely as well. Oops. And we may have to do the similar sorts of things. Now the idea now is to just have a look at what we've got and bring it down so that you've got alternating buds, so you can choose the direction of growth. And if you take the lead bud out, all of the other buds will grow and they will produce side shoots. So we're looking at any that are too long. This one here, I'm going to take that back. And then all we're doing is just trying to form a basic shape. Now I am watching what I'm doing to make sure that where I cut, the bud that I choose will grow in the direction I want, and this one's sticking upwards, so that can come off quite tight. So that should make a nice pad now. That's that one. And then this branch above it, there's a lot of it, and this one does have side shoots already, but unfortunately that one's crossing over. How much do we want to go back? Don't want to go back too far because this is a lower branch. We've got our first branch stops there at the moment. In fact, that goes one little bit too far. So if that one stops there, this one should be a bit shorter. So we can select our length. So that's the length of the pad. Now all we do is adjust everything else to form that pad. Upward pointing there. So this bit here is a bit thick. So I'm going to take it back to that tiny little side shoot there. And then again we can bring this one back to there, and I'll just take the end off of that one. just to make it branch. So that'll do for that. Now we're looking at the next branch. Is actually a branch that's lower than the one we've just done here, but it's a back branch, and it's got an awful, or not, well, basically a bit that's just fundamentally wrong, which is this top bit here. So like I said, you know, anything that's just grown wrong, that can come right off, right back to the base. Now we're looking at, I think this one can come off quite tight too. We'll get possibly get some back budding as a consequence of this trimming, but that's pointing downwards, so we don't want that. We'll take that back to about there, and then we've got this big long piece sticking out here with some side shoots. I'm going to take that back to about there, and then these shoots, we'll just trim those so that they branch, and then we'll have a look later and see what see the results of what's happened. Now looking at it from the front, that's obviously too long, as is that. Right, so that's our first 3 branches. We've now got a branch here with a branch immediately above it. I'm going to keep both the branches, but this branch coming out here will determine the overall width of the tree on this right hand side, and as it's got 2 branches there, I'm going to go to there initially. So if that's going to be the length of that branch, we haven't got any left hand branches, all we've got is right hand branches, so it's not a very good branch. So do we keep it? Yeah, it's going to be a bit lopsided if we don't have that branch, so we'll keep it, but we won't make a big deal out of it. We'll see what it does when it branches and see if we can get something growing on the left hand side. We do have buds, so something will grow, and then our next branch up, it's got a rather an abrupt stop on it. That's where it's obviously been cut before. We just trim that to neaten it, and then I don't want that to be a big branch. I want this to be a much smaller branch, so we'll push it in quite a bit. And this one hangs down, so we'll take it off and just bring these in a bit. That's a nice small branch now, which is what I want here. Next branch, we've got this one. This looks like it was wired at some point to bring it over and down a bit. This is quite a flat branch apart from that bit, so it should make, and a dead bit, it should make quite a nice pad, that one. So all we've got to do is decide how long it needs to be, bearing in mind it's pointing forwards. Yeah, it would do better if it was wider than long, so we'll push it back quite hard. So that's lengthwise. Now we need to decide how wide it's going to be. I think about there somewhere, and again in this direction about there. So that should form quite a nice pad. So we've got quite a large branch here, our first branch, that's fair enough. Don't like that bit there now I come to look at it. Then we've got another branch here that should form quite a nice pad. And then we've got a small branch and a small branch. A branch hanging out the side, which will become part of the main structure. Now we're starting to get up to heavy branches. This is where the tree goes wrong, because technically branches should become thinner as you head towards the top, whereas on this tree the thickest branches are at the top, and it is a massive top, so it's not going to work as it is, but it's difficult to know what to do with it without taking the whole of the top of the trunk off. So we could take the top of the trunk off and pick a new leader, like this one for instance, and wire that up and train that to be the apex. That's removing an awful lot of tree, which at the moment, with this is a young tree, I'm not prepared to do that. But what we can do is restrict the growth of the top of the tree by taking most of it off. That way the lower branches should catch up and there won't be much energy going in to feed these upper branches, so they shouldn't increase in size so much. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Now this is massive and I can pick a point on there to go back to. Coming up here, need to come into about there. I'm going to take that off there. Get rid of that bit. Now we can reduce everything back in. It's got a large branch sticking out here. And there. We'll take that off because that's pointing right to the back. And that. And that. And that. So far so good. And then we'll... How big a pad do I want this to be? So I'm working on 2 or 3 branches at the same time with my eyes at the moment. This little one at the back, that's got a bit sticking up, we'll take that off, and it's too long. And a bit sticking down, so we'll take that off. And then this branch out to the right here, there's a lot of it again. Now I don't mind it being quite long, but not that long. So we'll come in with it, we'll bring it in. It's now quite a small branch, but it will shoot out, so plenty of buds on it. Now we can take this one back. Right, so we were working on this one at the time. I'm going to take that bit right off. I'm going to take that off. I know it's part of another branch, but it's crossing over this one. As is that one. As is that one. Now we're opening up the top a bit. Now I need this to come out this way a bit, so I'm going to select buds that point in that direction. Like that. Too much. And then this branch crosses right over, so we'll take that off. Crosses right over to the wrong side of the tree. The branch is pointing this way, so anything that goes that way is just wrong, as is that. Right, so that's that one done. Now we've got a little back branch here, which is sticking up a bit and is quite long, so we'll just snip that. It's also quite weak, so you know, we'll leave some on there. Now this one here, that bit sticking up has got to go, but this bit sticking up I want to keep. It's this large piece that'll have to go. Now how are we doing? Right. Now this branch here, do you know, I've just seen what I need to do. I've just found my new apex. It's here. It's there. That is my new apex. So we need to be able to twist that round to there, and then this to follow on to give us our movement. So I shall have to get some wire. I'll shut down a minute while I go and get some wire. Okay, I've brought in the heaviest gauge wire I've got because I want to hold this branch in shape, but I don't want the wire tight, because unfortunately this is not the best time of year to wire. It really isn't, because with all this new growth there's going to be some expansion, but by removing an awful lot of the potential for greenery at the top of the tree, it should stop it going too mad. That's my theory anyway. I need to start down here, come up there, and not much more than that really, because this branch naturally comes over this way anyway, so we don't need a huge amount, but to say it gets gobbled up quite quickly when you're using thick wire like this, so we'll see how we do. We'll start down here. As I said, I want this to oh, this is going to be hard work. I don't think I've ever used wire this thick before. But as soon as it bites on, it will become easier. There we go. And as I said, I do not want this wire on tight, I want it quite loose. It's got to be close enough to be able to bend the branch, but the branch is quite supple, close. And then if I can pull this a bit tighter here. There we go. And then I've got to come over the top of here, and this is where the wire's a little bit too thick, but I'm only going to go round a little bit, so we will go round there, over there, and round. And that will probably do. Probably. So what I now want to do is twist this branch towards me, like so, so that the trunk has a continuation curve. You see the curve now follows on into this branch to there, and then this bit up here brings the curve back round to there. Yeah, that's okay. And the wire's not going to bite in. It's only just touching. There's plenty of room for expansion. So now we've got a new apex. That gives me some height to the tree, a little bit more height. Now we can look at the branches that are left in a different light. But as I said, I don't want too much greenery up here. We've now got a downward pointing branch, so that can come straight off. And this bit that's growing upwards, I don't want this tree to get too tall. So there's got to be a top. There's got to be a stop point where ramification takes over, and I think it's going to be there. Like that. So that will be my set point. Now we need to bring everything back in to stop the greenery and to stop the top getting too boisterous. And then these little shoots that are going to form will be our apex. There we go. This is now too big. And you make an adjustment and then suddenly everything else is out of proportion. But what we've got here is, this is our overall width. Yes, I was just going to say, let's get this round somewhere near the right angle. When it's repotted, it may well actually go a bit more like that. Possibly, we shall see, but it doesn't need repotting this year, that's for sure. So this is our overall width here, yeah? And then we come in gradually. Except for that bit. So I said, it all changes the scale when you start doing a dramatic move like that. So we've got our first pad, second pad, and then this one, I've got a feeling that one ought to come round here. But not now. If I try and bend that round now, there's going to be growth in this area. It'll swell up and bite in. So, and then we've got our overall width at the bottom down here, which is now too long. So we'll come back in a bit. And then we've got our shape coming down this side, following the line of the trunk, like that. So that's okay. We'll develop the new apex. We've got a crossing branch here. Oh no you don't. There we go. Weak branch there that can just come off. So I think I'll run with that. The only thing left to do now is get rid of these needles in the pot, and what we've got to do is get rid of the wrong moss. What do I mean by the wrong moss? I mean this moss. This stuff is evil. Whoa, whoa. And I want it gone because it eats right down into the pot. It's got these little star shapes on the top. The other moss on here, I think we also need to possibly get rid of that because it's right up against the elements of the trunk. So I think I will probably just try and get rid of all of the moss for now, if I can. And that involves just loosening it and then pulling it out. Hopefully it'll come back. It's almost impossible to get rid of this moss. It gets right down into the roots and it does actually take nutrients away from the tree. So it's not nice stuff, it just needs to be gone. I'm thinking that I may get a bit more drastic with this moss, and then come the growing season when the tree's in good active growth and nice and strong, I might get some weed killer that kills green but kills down to the roots and paint it on, just paint it on the moss so that it only goes on the moss and it doesn't get down anywhere near the tree as such. It just takes the moss out and then it can just die back in the pot. Horrible stuff. And once you've got it in a pot, you know, I suspect that the only true way to get rid of it completely is to actually, when you repot, completely strip all the old media off, right back down to the roots and wash the tree completely and start again with brand new media. I don't think I've ever done that to a tree. It's just a matter of a couple of times a year, just, you know, deal with the moss. It does come off reasonably easy. And I mean, with the number of trees I've got, it's not like I've got a lot to do. You know, I mean, I've got, well, once I get rid of the two I don't want, I'll be down to less than a dozen trees. So it's not like I'm run off my feet looking after my bonsai, because I'm far from it. And if I'm going to do bonsai videos, then I need something to film, and you know, a quick tidy up is, you know, a little bit of something. Got most of it now. Here. There is some nice, this type of moss is quite nice on a pot, that's quite nice, but it's got the other type mixed in with it, so I'd be forever fighting the other stuff. I just as well try and get rid of the lot, start again. These old needles that have fallen into the pot as well. Now the other thing I'm doing is breaking the surface because it probably compacted over last year with the amount of watering I had to do because of the droughts and the long dry period. The amount of water that was getting thrown on these was quite incredible, and obviously it compacts the soil down, so there's no air getting into the soil. So we'll just give it a good poke around and loosen it all, and then in doing so I can take a bit off the surface, refine the edge of the, refined, not refine, redefine the edge of the pot, so that we can see the edge of the pot, and there's a little lip there, and that means when I water, it'll give the water a chance to go down in the pot and not all run off the edge. Yeah, that's better. Now when I water, the water shouldn't wash everything off like it was doing last year. Right, so that's all I'm going to do to it. That's given me a basic shape, but what we will do is take the poke in the eye wire off. I'll keep that bit. In fact, I wonder if I can get that to go round here. Let's give it a try. If I can get that to just go round the trunk once. Oh, it's incredibly difficult to bend. Then I can come, oh, incredibly difficult. My idea is to just come round here and pull that branch round while I've got a piece of wire in my hand. Again, it mustn't be tight, it's got to be quite loose, just enough to pull that branch back round to there. Come on. Oh, blimey, that wire's stiff. No wonder I don't use it much. There we go. Not quite enough. Go on a bit more. That's better. That fills that gap a bit more now. And if I can lift it a bit as well. Yeah, that fills that gap a bit better. And again, poking the eye wire, we don't want that. Right, so I've got one more thing to do. I'll shut down and I'll be back. Right, now obviously this tree's coming into growth. I'm not going to count them, but if you look at how many buds are on here that are all going to open over the next couple of weeks, the energy has come up from the roots, up into the branches and pushed to the ends of the branches, to where the tips are, to where all those buds are, and it needs replenishing. Yeah, there won't be any food left in that pot, it's all gone. So we will put some slow release feed in there. That's the stuff I use. It works. They also get some feed in the watering can, but what I want to do with this is just put some around the edges, and I'm going to push that in a minute, and that will give it a good boost. And we just push it in so that it's in the surface of the pot. If it sits on the surface, I find it goes mouldy. If you push it in a bit, it doesn't. It disintegrates much quicker if it's in the soil. So there we go. So as it rains, which it has been a lot lately, even though it's not today, that will get rained in and give it a bit of a boost at the base of the tree to replenish the stocks that have been used to push those buds out. And I think that's got a making of a reasonable little tree there. But that's it. That's all I've really done to this. It had a basic shape when I got it. It's got some strange goings on at the base. I mean, you could actually say that this is the front of the tree and completely remove this lower branch and just have it sweeping away and coming back over the top like this. That could make quite a nice tree, and then you'd be able to see these almost aerial roots. I don't think it works so well that way, but it could do. That could still work, and then again bring it back this way on a repot. But those decisions will be made at the next repot, which is probably going to be next spring. In the meantime, we will recover it by allowing it to grow a bit, but not let it get out of hand this year. Last year it was allowed to do whatever it wanted, so we'll see how it goes. So that's the first bonsai video of this year. As I said, I will bring each tree in turn. I won't make a long video like this out of them. As I said, this is the first real sort of styling on this tree. I mean, there's quite a lot of dead straight branches. It's like this one. This needs wiring. It's almost dead straight. That would put some shape into some of these branches, but that needs the smaller wire and a more delicate touch, which I'm not doing at the moment. Quite honestly, with the Japanese larch, you can style them with pinch and grow. You know, you can just, I mean, if I take that off there, we've then got some shape to it. Take it back even further. So you can get shape into the branches just by choosing which bits grow. You can do it like that. But initially, I'm happy with that. So I will see you in the next one. As I said, over the next few weeks I will bring all my bonsai in, except two, because two are getting, well, I'm getting rid of them basically. I hope to sell them. If not, I shall give them away. I'm going to take them to the Bonsai Society. They're not coming home with me one way or the other. So either somebody gives me some pennies for them and takes them on, or I give them away basically, because I don't want them. There's two that I just changed my mind. I don't like them much, and rather somebody else had a go. But yeah, so we'll do that with each one in turn. Have a look at it, see how it did last year. Put some thoughts into what we want out of it this year. I don't suppose there'll be much wiring, if any, although my hornbeam is in a similar state to this. It's got no proper apex. I keep looking at it and I still can't see one. And then we've still got the major job to do on the juniper, which has had virtually nothing done to it. I bought it in a pot. It's still in a flower pot. It's put on a hell of a lot of growth. It's a huge bush, and somewhere inside that bush is a very nice bonsai, and we'll hopefully start work on that in the not too distant future. Whether I repot it into a bonsai pot at the same time is doubtful, because it's going to put the tree under a lot of stress shaping it, removing an awful lot of foliage. It might pay to just leave it in the pot for another season and let it recover from the hack, from the removal of a lot of foliage. We'll see how it does. Anyway, those are the sorts of things coming up. This isn't a big channel. I don't expect it to ever be. It's my second channel at the end of the day. My first one being my orchid channel and my main one. This is a secondary one where I show bits around the garden and a few bonsai videos tucked in amongst them. And as I said, I've only got about a dozen trees. I don't plan on getting many more. I haven't got room for them in the garden, and I haven't got the time to dedicate to lots of bonsai trees. So I like to just do a bit of work on the ones I've got now and again. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.